Hello everyone, I am Tyagi and today I am going to explain you the chapter The Last Lesson. The Last Lesson, which is written by Alphonse Daudet. Alphonse Daudet, who was a French novelist. So first of all, let's know why the name of the chapter is The Last Lesson. The Last Lesson, because when the chapter was written, there was Franco-Prussian War. The war started from 1870 and it ended in 1871. At that time, some part of Poland, Germany and Austria, they were in the hands of Prussia, or Prussia ruled over them. When the war ended, France defeated the war. France, that is, defeated the war. And Germany won. Germany won the war. That's why the two districts of France, these are Alsace and Lorraine, they came into the hand of Germany. So that an order was passed from Berlin. Berlin, it is the capital of Germany. Berlin to Germany की capital है. An order was passed that the next day onward only German language will be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. On that day, the French teacher M. Hamel had his last lecture in the class. That's why the name of the chapter is The Last Lesson. Each chapter has a theme. In this chapter, there are three things. First, that is procrastination. Procrastination means to postpone the thing. Suppose I don't want to do any work today. I'll postpone the thing on tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. Effect of war on common people. War का common people के ऊपर क्या effect पड़ता है? As we have seen in this chapter that the people of France, they had to adopt a new language after the war. Third, importance of mother tongue or national language. What is the importance? एक हमारी mother tongue, हमारी national language की क्या importance है? We will learn all these things in this chapter. After that, let's have the flow chart of this chapter. So let's see the flow chart of this chapter. The last lesson. France. France is a young boy who goes to school. And M. Hamel, M means Mr. Mr. Hamel, he is a teacher. Teacher in French language. M. Hamel's sister. And there is a person, Watcher. Watcher who was a blacksmith and his apprentice. It means his trainee also. Some villagers, former postmaster, former mayor and old houser. And the Prussian soldiers. But the story revolves around these two characters. That is France and M. Hamel. France, who is the protagonist of this chapter. France and M. Hamel both are the protagonists of this chapter because the story revolves around these two persons. So let's know about the story. When the chapter started, Franz, who was a schoolboy, he was already late for school. He didn't want to go to school because he didn't learn the rules of participles. His teacher M. Hamel gave the homework to learn the rules of participles, but he didn't know the first word of participles. That's why he wanted to run away from school and he wanted to spend the time in the open field at the back of the sawmill, where the Prussian soldiers were doing their drilling. And he wanted to enjoy the chirping of birds as the weather was warm and bright, or the day was warm and bright. But he resisted himself and rushed to the school. When Franz was on his way to school, he was passing through town hall. Town hall is the place where was the bulletin board. He saw that the people were gathered in front of the bulletin board. So he memorized that from the last 2 years, all the bad news had come from this bulletin board. So he was worried maybe any other bad news is there on the bulletin board. At that time, the watcher, the blacksmith, who was also standing in front of the bulletin board, he commented or suggested Franz, no to go very fast or so fast, Bob, you have plenty of time to go to school. But as Franz was late for his school, he thought that watcher was commented on him. When Franz reached to the school and he was standing in front of the classroom and he was in the garden. When he looked into the room, he saw each and every student was sitting on their seat. But usually when a school opens, there may be great hustle and bustle, noise of opening in desk and closing in desk, wrapping of the teacher's ruler on the desk and great commotion in the class. But on that day, everything was still. There was a strange silence, like the Sunday morning, because on Sunday the school is closed. He saw that the students were sitting in the class. He was very worried that when we will enter in the class, the teacher will scold him. But on that day, it didn't happen. And Hamel told Franz, "Come on Franz and take your seat, we were going to start without you." So the way of teachers talking was a bit different. The teacher and Hamel, who put on his Sunday clothes, or the clothes which he usually put on prize distribution day or inspection day. What was the cloth? That is green coat, white shirt, white frilled shirt and a black silk cap. Black silk cap, all embroidered. All embroidered. And he saw that the villagers, they were also sitting on the last bench of the class. It was very unusual for Franz. Now Hamel, who was sitting on his chair, he stood up from there and he spoke to the people about the order. The order had come from Berlin, the capital of Germany, that the next day onward only German language will be taught in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. And Hamel's words struck Franz like a thunderclap. Thunderclap means बिजली की गड़गड़ाहट के जैसे. उसे लगा कि वो जो 40 years से उनके टीचर जो उन्हें फ्रेंच पढ़ाते आ रहे थे इस स्कूल में, अचानक से उनको स्कूल छोड़ के जाना पड़ेगा. He lost in his thought by knowing that it was his last lecture of French. वो अपने ही ख्यालों में खो गया जब उसे पता चला कि आज उसकी फ्रेंच लैंग्वेज का लास्ट लेसन है. He felt regret for not learning his lesson properly, for not attending the class. Now his books seemed him his companion. अब उसकी जो books थी, जो उसे क्या लगती थी, boring लगती थी, उसे अपनी companion लगने लगी. And he forgot the cranky behavior of his teacher, and he has the respect for his teacher. After listening about the order, Franz realized what was written on the bulletin board. It means the order was written on the bulletin board. The order came from Berlin. The teacher blamed the parents, students and himself for not learning due to procrastination. The teacher and Hamel blamed the parents because the parents didn't want to send their children to school to learn. And the student, they don't want to attend the class, and Hamel blamed himself because whenever he wanted to take a leave, he wanted to go for fishing, he announced the students just like the Sunday holiday. And when he didn't want to teach the student, he told the students to water the plants. These all three persons were responsible that the people of France, they were not able to read or write their language properly. After that, Hamel taught that French was the most beautiful, the clearest and most logical language of the world. Here Hamel showed the importance of mother language, mother tongue and national language. And he told the people that we should guard it. He told them that the language works just like the key of prison. As a key is required to open the lock of the prison, a language is also required to convey the masses to other, because the next day onward German were going to impose their language Germany, and they will talk with them in their own language. So they should know their language. Franz realized that the people, the old houser, former postmaster, former mayor, why they were sitting in the classroom. They all came to show their respect to their language or mother tongue, and they want to thank their teacher M. Hamel for his 40 years of faithful service in this school. And the villagers attended the class to give honor to their language. Now M. Hamel, he started the grammar work and started to ask the question on participle. He asked Franz to explain about participle, but he didn't able to say anything. He mixed up with the first word. Still, M. Hamel didn't scold him. After that, M. Hamel gave them the copy of writing Franz essays, all the students were very busy writing their fish books, Franz essays and Franz essays. Everyone was so busy in his or her work that a beetle came into his room and no one paid attention on it. It means there was a pin drop silence and everyone was busy in his or her work. At that time, when the students were doing their writing work, M. Hamel looked at each corner of the class as he wanted to fix or fit each and everything in his mind. Nothing was changed after 40 years in this school. The walnut tree, it became stronger and the vines, they became longer. And the furniture, only the furniture became a bit smooth by using it for 40 years. And Hamel explained so clearly on that day that Franz understood everything taught by M. Hamel. And Franz also paid full attention in their class. And Hamel wanted to teach them all in one stop. He wanted to teach कि जितना कुछ भी उसको आता है वो एक ही स्टॉप में, एक ही झटके में वो सारी चीजें आज इन पीपल को सिखा दे. The old houser opened the primer which he brought in the starting of the chapter and chanted the words ba, be, bi, bo, bu. These were the words which he was chanting or he was reading. At that time he was crying. When he was crying, his voice was lingering on. That's why the students want to laugh and they want to cry on the situation. Church clock struck 12. And Hamel stood up from his chair. He seemed very tall to Franz on that day. Why he was seemed very tall? Because M. Hamel has the honor for his teacher. He increased his honor on that day. He wanted to say something, but his thought dropped. M. Hamel स्टूडेंट से पीपल से कुछ कहना चाहते थे लेकिन उनका जो गला है वो चॉप्ड हो गया, रुंध गया. He was not able to say anything to them. And Hamel stood and he took a piece of chalk to write on the board. He turned to the board and he wrote as large as he could write, "Why love France?" means long live France. मेरा France हमेशा अमर रहे. After saying that, he leaned his head to the board just like it, and he couldn't say anything to the students. He showed the gesture that the school is closed and you may go now. These were the last word of M. Hamel to the students. So this is the lesson which I explained to you, and this is all about the chapter, the last lesson. Hope you got it. Thank you very much for listening me.